The fourth wall. Sophia Hart had always considered herself ordinary. A struggling screenwriter in her late 20s, she spent most days in her cramped apartment, typing away on an outdated laptop while eating instant noodles. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Or so she thought. The first time it happened, she brushed it off as stress. She was staring at her computer screen, trying to flesh out a scene, when she heard a voice. "She always does this," a deep, disapproving tone remarked. "Spends hours staring at a blank page and then blames the world for her failure." Startled, Sophia looked around the room. No one was there. The television was off, her phone silent. Just the hum of her fridge and the faint sound of traffic outside. Shaking her head, she dismissed it as exhaustion. But the voices didn't stop. Over the next few days, they grew louder, more distinct. They weren't random mutterings either. They were conversations about her. "Why doesn't she just get a real job?" One voice sneered. "Honestly, I'm tired of watching this pity party." Another chimed in. Sophia's heart raced as she checked every corner of her apartment, but nothing seemed amiss. Yet, the voices continued, their tone dripping with judgment. She stopped writing. Instead, she sat on her couch, staring at the walls, listening. "Look at her now," a woman's voice said mockingly. "Frozen. She thinks she's losing her mind." Sophia bolted upright. "Who's there?" she shouted. Silence. She tried ignoring them, drowning them out with music or the TV, but nothing worked. The voices followed her everywhere. At the grocery store, on her walks, even in her sleep. It was as if an invisible audience was narrating her every move, criticizing her every choice. One day, as she stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, she decided enough was enough. She grabbed her phone and made an appointment with a therapist. Dr. Mason was calm and reassuring, though Sophia could see the skepticism in his eyes. "Hearing voices isn't uncommon," he explained. "It could be stress, anxiety, or even early signs of a mental health condition. We'll work through it together." For weeks, she attended sessions and tried the exercises he suggested. But the voices didn't fade. Instead, they became bolder. "She thinks therapy will help," one of them scoffed during her session. Dr. Mason noticed her flinch. "What did you hear?" he asked gently. Sophia hesitated. They said therapy won't help." He nodded, scribbling in his notebook. "What makes you think that?" She stared at him, her frustration boiling over. "Because they're right. Therapy isn't helping because this isn't in my head. Something is wrong with my life." Dr. Mason leaned forward. "Sophia, have you ever considered that these voices are a reflection of your own insecurities? They might be manifestations of how you view yourself."
That night, Sophia sat in her apartment, staring at the darkened screen of her laptop. The voices were unusually quiet, as if they were waiting for something. She decided to test Dr. Mason's theory. Opening her laptop, she typed, "Sophia Hart was tired of being a failure. She wanted to prove to herself and the world that she was more than her mistakes." For a moment, the silence was deafening. Then, she heard it. "Oh, finally." A voice muttered, "She's doing something productive." Sophia froze. "What do you mean, finally?" she whispered. The voices didn't answer, but something clicked in her mind. For weeks, they had been criticizing her, mocking her, watching. The realization sent a chill down her spine. She opened her laptop again, typing frantically. Sophia began to suspect she wasn't alone. Her life wasn't just hers, it was a performance for someone else's entertainment. The moment she finished typing, the air in her apartment shifted. The voices grew louder, panicked. "She's figuring it out. She wasn't supposed to know." Sophia's hands trembled. "Who are you?" she demanded. The room seemed to ripple, like the air itself was alive. A figure appeared, faceless, shadowy, and utterly inhuman. "You were never meant to question," it said. Its voice a blend of all the ones she'd heard. "Your life is a story, a show for others to observe, and you are the star." Sophia's heart pounded. "Who's watching?" The figure tilted its head. "Everyone, everywhere. They see your struggles, your pain, your triumphs. They root for you or against you. But it doesn't matter, because you don't matter. You are entertainment." Rage surged through her. "If I'm the star, then I have control," she said. Standing tall, the figure laughed, a sound that made her skin crawl. "You have no control. Your script is written. Your ending is decided." Sophia clenched her fists. "Then I'll rewrite it." She turned to her laptop and began typing, pouring her thoughts onto the screen. With each word, the figure flickered, its form weakening. Sophia Hart took back her story. She was no longer a puppet, no longer a spectacle. She became the author of her own life. The figure let out a scream, and then it was gone. The voices vanished. Sophia sat in silence, her heart racing. For the first time in weeks, the only sound was the hum of her fridge. She didn't know if she had won or if the watchers would return. But one thing was certain, she would keep writing, because this time, the story was hers.